Clement Turpin from France. He has a little look at his watch on his left wrist, and the roar of the crowd inside this iconic stadium will tell you that we're underway. And Inter, just as they did in the first leg, are playing in this first half from left to right, as it's the Milan supporters, the away fans in the Curva Sud, away towards our right-hand side in that middle tier, who are making the noise. Throw that Dumfries will take, bouncing ball into the penalty area. There was a push there on Theo Hernandez, and it will go out, and it'll be a free kick to Milan. It goes without saying that the first goal in this game is absolutely vital. Completely vital for both teams and for the neutral, really, because if it goes to Inter, you're going to see it die. I think it's just going to go so flat, because 3 goals ahead is a huge ask for a team that's only won 2 out of the last 8 matches, and Inter have won 7 out of 7 in all competitions. So form-wise, they're just absolutely flying at the moment. Early free kick awarded to Inter. We're in the main stand. It is 3 tiers. The ends to our left and right are 3 tiers. If you haven't been to San Siro, just the 2 tiers on the stand opposite. And blue and black is the predominant colour. Theo Hernandez will deal with the threat of Dumfries. There was a shove in the back, and it will be a free kick. But Inter are one of the form teams. They've won their last 7 games. It's their best form all season. And history is against Milan. In Champions League history, only 1 team has won a semi-final where the first leg won by 2 or more goals and failed to progress. That was Barcelona against Liverpool in 2019. Who will ever forget that night at Anfield? Could we be set for an equally memorable night here in San Siro? Well, as an away side, the last time that Milan beat Inter by a 2-goal margin was 2003, when they won by 3 goals to 1. A repeat scoreline tonight would take us into extra time. So they've got it all to do, as Dumfries with a throw, headed away by Chow. One of the 3 changes made by Stefano Pioli. Out towards DiMarco, such a threat on the left. He delivers the cross, it's headed back! What a save that was! Flag has stayed down. It was Dzeko. Well, the referee has blown his whistle. But Maignan, with a wonderful save, it wouldn't have counted anyway. The referee's whistle had gone. But that serves certainly as a warning anyway.
They just didn't defend strongly enough there. I think, was it Tonali that just missed out there on the header? I mean, just didn't defend that back post area. The cross comes in from DiMarco in the air to the back post, and it was just so weakly contested by a Milan player. Headed back across. I think the referee gave a foul for that, didn't he? But there didn't appear to be too much of a shove in the back, and they have to be a bit more physical, certainly defending crosses, Milan. It's just too easy for the Inter players to get the edge on them, and the movement's good, but they're just not aggressive enough with dealing with the ball.
Ball cleared away downfield. Brahim Diaz picks it up, runs off the legs of DiMarco, and out for a Milan throw on that right-hand side. The Milan supporters last week, even when they were trailing by 2 goals to 0, with their unwavering support, and they are giving such vocal backing, bearing in mind they're in the minority. Every single one of those fans in the middle tier towards our right is clapping in unison with their hands above their heads. In the Curva Nord, the blue and the black and the white and the yellow flags are flying, as they did constantly throughout last week's first leg. Tonali to take the free kick, almost midway through the Inter half, and then it's taken short to Theo Hernandez. He's going to shoot from distance. Keeper didn't move. I honestly think Andre Onana was unsighted, and it whistled over his head and over the crossbar by a matter of inches and out for a goal kick. That was a good 40 yards out.
Rooted, Onana, absolutely rooted. I don't think he saw it. You know, it was a shot from such range from Hernandez. Takes it short, and he's that far out that I don't think anyone thought he was going to shoot, but he does, and puts his foot right through it. Lovely strike, always rising a little bit, about a yard or 2 over the crossbar, but Onana just stood still.
No foul. Tamori on Dzeko, says the French referee. And Tamori then hits the ball in the air, but Bastoni with a downward header, he climbs so high. You really like Bastoni, don't you?
Yeah, I think he's a top player. Love him with the ball. I think he's very measured with his passing. He's young. I think he's got a bright future. He's a good player.
That's Matt Upson, who is with us, who made his debut in Italy as a 16-year-old for Luton Town against Cesena in the Anglo-Italian Cup, November 95. Luton lost by 2-1. The attendance that night, 461, and by sheer coincidence, that was the first of your 461 appearances in your club career.
It's a coincidence. Similar atmosphere to tonight as well, it was, if I remember rightly. Electric. You've been working hard, didn't you? You've done your prep, haven't you?
Well,
you've dug that out from somewhere. That took you a while, didn't it, to find that?
Yeah, and I know you're too modest to say it, but Terry Wesley was the manager, and Mick McGibbon said to Terry Wesley that night he'll go on to play for England. And Mick McGibbon was proven absolutely correct, because former England international with 21 caps, he sat alongside me to my right here in San Siro. And what an atmosphere we have, what an occasion, as Inter still leading 2-0 from the first leg. Çalhanoğlu drops back in between some of the central defenders, pass it back to Onana, hooked away downfield by DiMarco, spinning away with Dzeko, lifts it forward, looking to make that run through from midfield was Barella. Teo Hernandez has gone across and has made that run the left back out towards that right-hand side to cover. Çalhanoğlu brings it under control, passes the ball forward to Mkhitaryan. Barella has stayed forward, and Barella's shot right-footed, was always on the rise. Goal kick, 0-0, 5 live.
Wow, it was good play from the left back of Milan. Hernandez defensively just sensed the danger, got himself across, something they didn't do anywhere near well enough last Wednesday. And again, it was Dzeko with the hold-up play, just bullied Thiaw a little bit with his back to goal. And then Barella is free as he's trying to recover back in Thiaw, and he gets his shot off. But just little signs again that those midfield two, certainly Barella, who for me again is an exciting player, full of energy and running, loves to burst past the front line from midfield. They're more than capable of causing a real problem for this Milan back four.
Brahim Diaz loses the ball. DiMarco on that far side for Inter. Out of play, it will go. It'll be a Milan throw, surprisingly, bearing in mind that he'd actually been challenged by Krunic on that far side. I thought the last touch came off Krunic. Thiaw goes all the way back to Maignan. 8 minutes played. BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also available on BBC Sounds for the first of 3 nights of more live European football. You can't beat being inside the stadium. Tomorrow night live at the Etihad from 7. Mark Chapman, Chris Sutton, Shay Given, John Murray, Manchester City, Real Madrid. 1-1 of course from the first leg. And then we're going to go Dutch on Thursday night. AZ Alkmaar against West Ham United in the Europa Conference League. Second leg, semi-final. Alistair Bruce Ball and Neil Lennon will provide the commentary from the Netherlands. Milan are attacking. Ball played down the right-hand side to Tonali, sends over the cross, headed away by Bastoni. Teo Hernandez, Leao yet to really get involved with the game so far. Now he gets a touch. Such a key player. Missed the last 2 matches through injury, but he's back. They had to really gamble on his fitness, as Milan are seeing a lot of the ball now. Brahim Diaz, diminutive figure, far side the right. Red and black striped shirts, white shorts, playing from right to left as we look. Here is Thiaw to Leao. Leao looking to try and combine with Teo Hernandez. Simeone Inzaghi is out in that technical area once again in the suit. Leao hits it forward to Tonali, lifts it. DiMarco heads it away bravely as the boots were flying there. Inter have dropped off. Milan coming forward. Calabria out to Messias. He'll cut inside onto his left foot. There is the cross. Waiting is Giroud. Goalkeeper hasn't got there, and it's headed behind by Darmian for a corner kick. That looked worrying for Inter.
Well, Onana just flapped at that one as it goes to the back post. He just waves a hand at it. Giroud, it's the classic movement of him pulling onto that back post with a lofted ball across the goal. But it was really nice play from Milan. Lovely build-up. really sharp ball from Leao into the feet of Giroud, and he had runners off him, Deno, which is the key. They didn't manage to get enough of that in the first leg. Midfield players running off Giroud when the ball goes into him. It's the way that Milan are going to get a goal-scoring opportunity, you feel.
Now the referee has spotted a little bit of pushing and shoving. I think it might be between Teo Hernandez and Bastoni. He's had a word. There are a clutch of players inside that penalty area. It's a corner kick to Milan, still 0-0 on the night here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tonali to take it, it's an in-swinger, headed out by Dzeko. On the stretch there was Brahim Diaz, bundled over by Çalhanoğlu. No foul then coming in on a challenge that was made on Barella. As Milan now come forward with Tonali, and he shows his strength, and Tonali gets forward, and with the cutback, Brahim Diaz had to score and didn't. Oh, what a chance that was for Milan. And Onana made the save away towards his left-hand side. Inter are furious with the referee that there was no free kick given for a challenge earlier in the half, and then Tonali with a cutback. Brahim Diaz just had to put his foot through it.
What a miss. I cannot believe that has not hit the back of the net. What a chance for Diaz. I mean, it's brilliant play from Tonali. Real strength and aggression on the left-hand side. Gets round the back, really forces himself to the goal line, gets his head up, lovely little cutback. I mean, he can't be arriving any better in that moment, Diaz. He's just got to strike it cleanly, and he doesn't. He just gets a poor strike on the ball. He's along the floor. Onana down to his left-hand side. If he just hits it high with any power, it's in the back of the net. It should be a goal, 100%.
Do you think he went for placement rather than
Maybe.
power?
I just think that he looked like he was caught in the headlights a little bit. It came back and he had a little bit of time then. You know those ones where you can see it coming? It was a slower ball, wasn't it? It wasn't a reactive thing. He had a bit of time to think on it, and he just didn't commit to finishing it.
Well, that was in the 11th minute. Of course, 6 days ago, after 11 minutes, Inter were leading by 2-0. That would have halved their lead had Brahim Diaz scored. Talking of goals, there's been one at Kenilworth Road. Jonathan Overend.
This is what Luton Town wanted. The early goal which levels the tie on aggregate. Luton 1, Sunderland 0. Scramble from a left wing corner, and Gabe Osho, the centre-back, poked it over the line. After the first leg was won by Sunderland, the tie is now level 2-2.
Talking of atmospheres, that sounded quite lively at your former club, Matt.
It did, didn't it? They can build up a bit of noise at Kenilworth Road, if I remember right. Great ground to play at.
Yeah, which is I was just trying to look for the name of the stadium where Cesena play, but Dzeko is away to more important matters. Dzeko outside the area, passes the ball to Dumfries. Dumfries with a cutback. Barella! What a save that was by Maignan. Flag goes up. Late flag anyway. So that's twice now that Mike Maignan has made two saves that probably wouldn't have counted. But again, he's not to know that.
No, I didn't see the offside either at all. He's brought it right the way back. It's an offside much earlier on in the move. The run from Dzeko early on, just near the halfway line. So they brought the ball all the way back up and just allowed the play to go on. But it just shows you how open Milan are at times, and they're walking that tightrope of we need a goal, but we can't leave ourselves too exposed, because Inter are great with that counter, with the pace from midfield. And I just think that they had, you know, those moments we've just seen there with Diaz, it's got to go in, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to go. If you're going to get through, it's got to hit the back of the net.
Yeah. Stadio Dino Manuzzi, by the way, was the where you made your debut for your career.
So it was big enough to hold 450 odd.
And here we are now with Matt watching on inside San Siro on BBC Radio 5 Live for a Milan derby. Derby di Milano, their first ever meeting, 1908. Tonight is the 237th official game between the two.
If you were sat behind somebody waving that big flag over there, you wouldn't be too happy, would you?
No. Mind you, I noticed your reaction earlier when we had it last week, when this main stand starts bouncing.
Had a bit of panic. Really wobbled, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Here is Mkhitaryan, scored the second goal last week. Dzeko got the first, but he's not going to get there. Tonali goes to ground. Referee will give a free kick. Tonali's trying to make his presence felt in that midfield.
Yeah, it's a far more aggressive start from Milan, and I think him in particular really didn't get into the game in the opening half an hour in the first leg. Tonali is a good player, and he's just started this game in a completely different mindset. It's more aggressive, more physical. I mean, that is a derby, isn't it? The first requirement you have in any derby, whether it be in the Champions League semi-final or not, is that kind of energy and aggression, that mindset you have to get about the pitch, and Milan have had that so far in this game.
Brahim Diaz, who should have given Milan the lead, but it's still 0-0. Messias wins a corner off the legs of DiMarco. They failed to score in 3 successive games against Inter Milan for the first time since 1979-80, never in their history. In 115 years of football between the two and 236 games have they gone 4 in a row without scoring. That is a statistic that they will certainly not want to see created tonight. They've got a corner kick, far side to right, 16 minutes played, 0-0. Corner kick then, in it comes now, headed out easily by Dzeko. DiMarco will chase after it, getting there first, just to see the ball back, is Tomori. Back to Mike Maignan, French international goalkeeper, in his luminous yellow goalkeeping outfit. As now it's Chow, German under-21 international, who brings the ball forward. Krunic passes the ball back. Calabria, the right back for Milan. Triangular passing patterns between the three, but they're midway through their own half and not really going anywhere at this stage, just to a backdrop of incessant noise. I think these two games will live a long time in the memory. Milan derby, but a place in the Champions League final is at stake. Tomori, he was saying last week that they still believe they can turn it around. Theo Hernandez. Leao's been quiet, hasn't he, so far for Milan?
Yeah, they've not got him into the game. He's been followed quite intensely by Dumfries, who is in the right wing-back position, but dropping quite deep and sticking with him a lot of the time.
Calabria joins the attack, wants the return ball and gets it from Messias. Forward on that far side, delivers a good cross into the penalty area. Barella had tracked back the run of Theo Hernandez. That's something that we've seen early in the group stage games against Chelsea and then against Tottenham. Theo Hernandez getting forward, less so in that first leg last week. But he can be a real threat down the left. And with Leao, it's a flank that they'll look to try and utilise as Barella tidies up and goes back to Onana. Now Darmian, right of his penalty area. Back to Onana, closed down quickly by Giroud. And he had to quickly release it out towards DiMarco. The left wing back coming forward now, and then the referee will give a free kick against Messias and in favour of Inter and DiMarco.
He looked like he pulled up a little bit there, Giroud, when he was going to pressure Onana. Thought he was going to get there and actually make the tackle, but he just didn't really quite commit. And allowed him just to chip the ball out to the left back, but looks a little bit late. He's had a bit of a shaky start, Onana, hasn't he?
He has.
They put him under pressure a little bit, really try and ask a question. I think that he hasn't started this game in the best of form.
Ball from Acerbi goes out of play. Well, in many ways, it's all to lose for Inter, isn't it? You know, not many people would give Milan much of a chance here. As the away side on their home ground. It remains 0-0. We've been playing for 19 minutes. That's the latest at Kenilworth Road. Jonathan O'Brien.
Luton leading Sunderland by 1-0. 2-2 on aggregate, but a big penalty shout, and justifiably so for Sunderland. The ball striking the arm of Amari Bell at close range. Simon Hooper, the referee, waved away the protests, which were loud and vehement and not without justification. Luton 1, Sunderland 0.
Of course, for the final, they'll have VAR for the all three finals that'll be played at Wembley at the end of the month. So 1-0 on the night to Luton Town, 2-2 on aggregate. Here it is 0-0 on the night, and Inter leads 2-0 on aggregate, as no foul on that far side against Brahim Diaz. DiMarco sent scampering away. Didn't think he'd kept the ball in play. He actually stopped himself, and that was the big giveaway. As it then did go out of play for a throw.
I thought it actually stayed in, but like you say, he kind of just braked a little bit, didn't he? And then the referee blew the whistle. But they're just looking to soak up any kind of pressure into at the moment. They're allowing Milan to have the ball They're happy with them tickling the ball about around the back forward into midfield, and they almost want them to come out and commit, get people into the box, and the moment they win that ball on the edge of their own box, they're looking to play forward so quickly, and the runners they have from midfield join in. You just feel that that's their game plan: defend well, and when we can break out and really commit men forward, we do it properly.
Ball on the halfway line has gone out of play. It's going to be a throw to Inter. Still goalless on the night here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Tomorrow night, live inside the Etihad for Manchester City against Real Madrid in the other semi-final. As Bastoni hits the ball long, Dzeko unable to get there. Thrown out underarm by Maignan to Theo Hernandez. Running forward, approaches the halfway line. Tonali makes the run to his left, and here is the midfielder with the dark hair. As we're saying, last week has been linked with a move to Liverpool, as Krunic tries to thread a ball forward to Leao. Dumfries isn't getting forward as much as last week's first leg. He's keeping a beady eye on Leao, who passes the ball in field. Dzeko has run back there. DiMarco inside his own penalty area with a scoop clearance. Darmian tries to head it away. Martinez does a little spin and then accelerates. He's away from three players. Tonali gets the foot into the challenge and gives away a free kick just outside the centre circle to Inter 0-0.
Well, he does so well to get away with no yellow card there, Tonali. It was a very cynical trip from a lovely piece of skill from Lautaro Martinez. Lovely footwork, just swivels round out of probably three players in and around him, around the halfway line, twists and turns out, and then lifts the ball, pops it up in the air, which was brilliant, and then just skips away. And Tonali, always chasing from behind, not going to win the ball, just trips him up. Clear foul, and lucky to get away with no booking.
Got a good record of scoring goals against AC Milan as Lautaro Martinez, as Çalhanoğlu with the back pass to his goalkeeper. Get ready for this stand to start shaking, because the Inter fans in the Curva Nord away towards our left in the middle tier, and now the bottom tier are starting to jump up and down in their seats. And if that spreads around San Siro, you're going to get a sensation. 0-0 midway through the first half.
I'm just looking at Giroud again, Benno. He keeps holding his knee, gets a bit of a kick on the knee there. I think it was Bastoni tries to clear the ball. He's not moving as well as what you would expect him to.
Barella running forward in the blue and black striped shirts of Inter Milan. And now it's with Mkhitaryan, tries to thread it through, comes back to Mkhitaryan. Theo Hernandez got a good block challenge. Barella fires it into the penalty area, teed up then to Mkhitaryan by Dzeko. Falling a little bit behind himself, right-footed, couldn't keep it down. Goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, space again on the edge of the box as it goes back to Mkhitaryan. There's no Milan player in that area of the pitch, and they just get pulled out wide quite a lot. And that area centrally is totally vacated. He's leaning back. Mkhitaryan just tries to bend it into the far post, but you just feel when they go forward Inter, they're going to fashion a chance on goal, aren't they? They commit bodies forward a lot. They get 4 or 5 arriving, and it generally ends in a shot on goal.
Free kick to Inter. Çalhanoğlu back to Acerbi. It's the voice of Matt Upson, who is with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. 24 minutes played. Mkhitaryan to DiMarco. Referee will give a free kick after a little bit of hesitation, and they're saying that was a naughty one on DiMarco, who's stayed down. It was Calabria who'd made the challenge. There's going to be a stoppage in play, and that gives us an opportunity to get back to Luton and Jonathan Overend.
Luton still lead 1-0 against Sunderland, but it could well be 2, because Sunderland have just cleared one off the line. The shot from 20-goal striker Carlton Morris. It was an excellent clearance, but actually it rebounded straight into Elijah Adebayo, the other Luton striker, and that almost went in as well. Luton 1, Sunderland 0, 2-2 on aggregate.
Thanks, Jonathan. We're back underway here inside San Siro. 0-0 on the night. Barella to Dzeko, lays it off to Dumfries. Dumfries enters the penalty area. Dumfries with a cross, cleared away by Chow, and behind for a corner kick.
Wow, lovely play from Inter. It's Dzeko again. He just brings other players into the game so well. Lovely layoff in behind for Dumfries on the right-hand side, gets his head up. It's a shame Martinez didn't just hold his run and just pull off a little bit. If he just pulled back, I think Chow would have ran past him and he would have been on just for the cut back to tap it in, but good defending in the end from Chow to cut that out.
25 minutes played. Çalhanoğlu and DeMarco have gone across to this near side the right, taken a short corner, back to DeMarco, strikes the body of Tonali, his arms were down by his side, rebounds to DeMarco, who hits a diagonal ball in the direction of Dzeko, challenged by Theo Hernandez, off the head of Theo Hernandez, and runs behind for another corner kick to Inter. And Çalhanoğlu, former Milan player incidentally, whips up the Inter crowd. Don't necessarily think they need much whipping up, to be fair.
I don't think they do.
So he runs across towards the left. DeMarco sauntering over, should he require the short option again. Milan have got everybody back inside their own penalty area for the Rossoneri.
And set plays are a concern, aren't they? Defending corners for Milan. They've not done it brilliantly so far, certainly in this semi-final ties.
Çalhanoğlu tried to roll it in to the near side of the 6-yard box where Lautaro Martinez had made that run, but Milan were wise to that and cleared it away downfield. Mkhitaryan, who's midway through his own half, will play the ball forward. Acerbi, the tall central defender, passes the ball out wide. Calabria with interception off his chest, and now Messias picks it up over the halfway line. He's got 3 Milan players ahead of him. Messias then was caught by Bastoni, and that will be a free kick. It's evenly poised, actually, isn't it?
It is. It's very even. Obviously, Milan having to push and probe and desperately trying to find this goal, which they should have if Diaz had finished well. And then you've got Inter that just do look dangerous, I have to say. And you just feel that it's just going to... The noise is going to go off in here if Inter score. But in terms of this constant background chanting, it might just kind of fizzle out a tiny bit if the tie goes to 3-0.
Free kick to Milan. 0-0 on the night, still trailing 2-0 on aggregate. Tonali's going to take it, right-footed, arcs its way into the penalty area, headed out by Darmian. Dumfries won't get there. Leao will head it back towards Tomori, the England international, a former Chelsea player inside that centre circle. He passes the ball short. Theo Hernandez, little touch there for Krunic. Tomori goes out wide, the right back, Calabria. Brahim Diaz, 10 yards ahead of him, collects it. Krunic able to turn. Back with Tomori. And then he'll pass it out to Calabria once again. He's going to be faced by Mkhitaryan very, very soon. His ball forward was easily intercepted and well read by DeMarco. Mkhitaryan, 10 yards inside his own half, passes the ball back. Çalhanoğlu passes it out to the left-sided central defender of 3, Bastoni, who hits it forward, and Barella's made that run, breaking through from midfield, and Barella will win a corner kick for Inter, 0-0.
Well, I just thought Tomori nearly got there just then. As Barella makes that run into the channel, he times it so well. He's got great instinct of when to run, and his timing of that, Barella, is very, very good. And he just pulls Tomori out of that centre-back position. He gets a toe on the ball, but it just catches Tomori's knee and goes out for a corner. But as a centre-back, it's never nice when you've got to run it all the way across the pitch and then put the brakes on with a player like Barella, who can always just slow himself down. He's got that little burst of pace as well.
Çalhanoğlu swings over the corner kick. Maignan does well to get something on it, to get it away out of his penalty area. Back out to Çalhanoğlu, who fires it in, repelled by the head of Giroud, but up in the air rather than away. And then it's still not been properly dealt with. Bastoni has a swing at that. On the stretch was Tonali. Barella plays it short. This is Acerbi looking to turn. Back then to Mkhitaryan, and only now can Milan start to push out of their penalty area. Inter on the half hour. Ball spread out towards Barella. On the right-hand side, swings over the cross. And Martinez had the shot. That was blocked by Krunic. And it goes out for an Inter throw. And we've got 15 minutes to go to half-time. The neutral speaking here wants Milan to score.
Yeah.
I just think then all of a sudden we could be set up for
Absolutely.
what could be an epic second half.
Absolutely, but you've got to take your chances.
Yeah.
And they've had the best chance of the game and didn't take it. And I don't know, you just feel that it starts to slip away at that point. I mean, if that had gone in, it just changes the complexion of this game so much.
Brahim Diaz had that chance, but he went for placement rather than power.
Yeah. But Dumfries isn't going far on this right-hand side, is he?
No, he's wary of Leao, isn't he?
Totally wary. And it's Dumfries and Darmian almost kind of doubling up on him all the time.
Leao has been such an influential player, and they've been without him in 10 games this season. They've just won 1, drawn 5 and lost 4. So to have him back tonight after missing the last 2 gives them hope. As Maignan comes out of his penalty area and actually then waits for the ball eventually to roll back into his box, dives on it, rolls it out towards Theo Hernandez, closed down quickly by Martinez. Tonali does well to keep the ball in play. Theo Hernandez on the stretch might well have just caught Dumfries in the head accidentally. Dumfries did stoop. Theo Hernandez, I don't think, saw him.
Yeah, he stooped to dive in head the ball. Dumfries, as the ball's right on the touchline, he's just trying to flick it back. Hernandez with the outside of his left boot inside the pitch, and Dumfries comes from behind him or the side, and I don't think he sees him. Just catches him in the head with his boot, right on the touchline in front of the technical area.
It was him being brave and putting his head down quite low. Referee Clement Turpin is just having a word with Theo Hernandez. Lautaro Martinez is making sure that he's involved as 2 physios attending to Dumfries. Tomorrow night from 7, Manchester City, Real Madrid, all the build-up on 5 Live. AZ Alkmaar versus West Ham on Thursday. And then at the weekend, where Manchester City, of course, can be crowned Premier League champions. You'll hear both games that could determine that. The City ground at 5:30, Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. After we brought you Wolves Everton at 3, and then after West Ham Leeds at 1:30 on Sunday. If Arsenal at the weekend don't hand City the title on Saturday, then City can win it themselves at home to Chelsea at 4 o'clock. So Dumfries is on his feet but not back on the field of play, but play will be resuming now with a free kick to Inter. Çalhanoğlu's going to take it just a few yards in from the touchline on this right-hand side. The bald-headed coach of Milan, Stefan Pioli, pointing with his right hand as it's swung in now by Çalhanoğlu and caught by Maignan. To Kenilworth Road, Jonathan Overend.
1, Sunderland 0, 2-2 on aggregate, but a couple of additional chances for Luton as they dominate this first half. Morris's header was saved by Patterson, and from the follow-up, Lockyer, another header narrowly wide. Luton 1, Sunderland 0.
Thanks, Jonathan. We've got 12 minutes to go to half-time. Still 0-0 here on BBC Radio 5 Live, also available on BBC Sounds. Tomori, and every outfield player now is in the half away towards our left-hand side, but that's an overhit pass away from Leao, and it will go out for a goal kick. They made an encouraging start, Milan, and obviously they had that chance that we've talked about for Brahim Diaz, former Manchester City player, after 11 minutes. But of late, Inter have got them at a distance.
Well, that pass there from Tomori kind of typifies the last 10-15 minutes from Milan in terms of with the ball. It's not been punchy enough, it's not been incisive in terms of breaking lines, playing forwards. There's been a lot of sideways, backwards passing, which Inter are just delighted about. They're happy, they'll sit there all evening with Milan doing that, and I just think they've got to be a little bit more aggressive with their decision making with the ball. They started like that, opening 15-20 minutes, and looked a lot more physical, a lot more energy in the team, and you're right, last 10 minutes or so it's just kind of fizzled out, and keeping possession isn't cutting it at the moment.
Maignan plays the ball to Tomori. He's going to advance towards the halfway line and indeed run away from Dzeko. Keeps on going. He's now midway through the Inter halfway, finds Leao. Krunic takes over in the central area of the field, and then Diaz loses the ball. Mkhitaryan will bring it away, cuts in front of Brahim Diaz into the centre circle, and then there was a foul by Krunic on Mkhitaryan. The Armenian goes down. Free kick to Inter, 10 minutes to half-time, 0-0.
He's given the ball away a lot, Diaz, in this first half. Not been clever enough with the ball. He's tried to wriggle out or take on a couple of players and just got tackled or lost the ball or not released it quick enough. And turns the ball straight back over to Inter.
There's a lot of bare-chested supporters in that Curva Sud, in that middle tier. Yeah, look at them now, just pockets of flesh you can see from the Milan ultras as their turn to jump up and down in unison and swaying from side to side.
Pockets of flesh.
They're making
lovely, Deno.
a lot of noise on what has been a cooler day in Milan after a very pleasant day yesterday where it was around 22 degrees. Çalhanoğlu hits it early, strikes the back of Mkhitaryan and enables Theo Hernandez to win it back for Milan in the midfield to Krunic. 9 minutes to go to half-time, 0-0 on the night. No change in the tie overall. Out to Messias. Messias on that far side, the right. Brahim Diaz is behind him. Here is Messias once again, the Brazilian. Onto his left foot, plays it in. Headed away well by Acerbi. He had to tangle with Giroud. Referee's blown his whistle. It'll be a free kick to Inter.
It's a little bit predictable though, isn't it? It's not quick enough, not punchy enough from Milan with the ball. Got to move it, pass it quicker, better movement off the ball, looking to get in behind, or even people moving and running off of Giroud to give an option just to clip the ball into him and really try and put Inter under more pressure. They're just so comfortable. That back three are very good at just defending deep in that box. Certainly with Acerbi and Bastoni, any ball that comes in the air, they're more than capable of just winning that ball or just flicking it away, and they'll sit there all evening. Got to figure out a way of just trying to pull them out of those spaces.
And the wing backs aren't getting us forward as much as they did last week.
No, they're protected, they're sitting deep, so the service is slow. It's getting out wide via 2 or 3 passes, or somebody's having 2 or 3 or 4 touches in the middle of the park before it goes out there, and they're just set. They're a back five and they're just making life difficult.
Dumfries with his header in field to Dzeko, volleyed away by Tonali, 30 yards out in front of his own goal, strikes the head of Leao. There's a slip there by Darmian, and Leao now all of a sudden accelerates into the penalty area. Leao here, just wide, hit it low left-footed, but it was always going away from goal, and it must have missed that far right-hand post by a matter of centimetres. The first O-ring that Leao has had, and Darmian slipped, and Leao was in, and he just couldn't take advantage. 0-0.
Well, that's the moment. He's been on the pitch 37 minutes, he's been very quiet, but that little slip from Darmian, he tries to win the ball, he misjudges it, and you give Leao a little bit of space and he builds up a head of steam when he runs at you. He is devastating, he really is. Acerbi comes out to try and deal with him. He literally just drops a shoulder, swivels his hips and just goes to the left-hand side, leaves him for dead. But the angle's tight there, and it'd have been some finish to bang that in at the far post. I think he gets as good an angle on the shot as what he can without it hitting the goalkeeper, and it's just a fraction wide.
He scored 13 goals this season. He had been linked with a move to Chelsea, but it never materialised, and he subsequently, indeed last week, signed the new 5-year deal, and I was reading that it's got a buyout clause of €175 million.
Well, Chelsea will buy him then, won't they?
I think they offered Pulisic and Ziyech, didn't they, at one stage in the negotiations?
Maybe. I know he's an exciting player, isn't he? He played well at Stamford Bridge this season. I was at the game, Chelsea-Milan, and Chelsea won the game, but he was excellent. Gave Reece James and Trevor Chalobah, I think it was, a real tough time.
39 minutes played, 0-0. Free kick to Inter, far side. Glancing header, well kept out by the goalkeeper. My word, that was travelling. And Maignan just smartly moved down towards his right-hand side with a reflex save. It might have actually taken a double deflection. It was a flat ball in, but it just skimmed off a couple of heads. And Maignan with a wonderful save.
Well, that is the problem you have when you're I'm looking at the starting position of Milan. They're on their 6-yard box line. I mean, how deep are they? You leave yourself so vulnerable to that, and that ball just hits him. He knows nothing about that at all, the goalkeeper. He just knows nothing, it just hits him. But the delivery was great, it had pace, but their starting position was 6 yards away from goal.
Dzeko, Mkhitaryan with the cross, cleared by Calabria. Up in the air though, it's going to drop. Did it go out of play? Yes, it did. It's going to be a corner kick to Inter. It was such a flat ball in though.
Yeah. It was, but I mean, the free kick was what? 5 yards out from the 18-yard box in a wide area. So ideally you want to defend anywhere between the 18-yard box and the penalty spot. They're on the 6-yard box line, so you're right in front of the goalkeeper. Any quality of delivery, all it needs is a glancing touch or even no touch through the bodies, and the goalkeeper's struggling. And he was lucky that it hit him right in the kind of chest or arm area.
Corner kick on the left, headed out by Giroud, flicked by Barella, turning is Lautaro Martinez. He waits for the ball to settle, and then he shoots left-footed. And it was always on the rise on the edge of the area, and it was off target, but another chance for Inter. It remains 0-0. They lead 2-0 on aggregate.
Wow, another effort on goal right on the edge of the 18-yard box. Martinez left-footed, never really looked like he was in full control hitting this. He was falling over as he hits it. Ball always flying over the crossbar, but another shot on goal.
Back it goes now to the other end, and Onana, luminous orange goalkeeping outfit, clears away downfield. 4 minutes to go to half-time. BBC Radio 5 Live. Milan get a throw inside the Inter half, about 8 yards up from the halfway line on that far side.
It's interesting where this is going to go, this game, isn't it, at the moment? It's kind of quite nicely poised, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there is a degree of caution as well inside the stadium. We had an Inter taxi driver last week after the game who was saying he's just going to keep his head low for the next week. He's not going to celebrate, not going to get too far ahead of himself, just in case. And then he's going to party like
he's going to go for it.
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah, it has got that feel about it. You can tell they should be confident, but yeah, until it's done, until that whistle goes, you can never be too confident. And the game is nicely poised. A couple of chances for Milan, probably maybe say the best chance of the game with Diaz for sure. And Leao has shown what he can do in a 1v1 situation if he gets isolated.
Well, Inter are yet to trail at any point in the Champions League this season in the knockout stages, where they've won 3 and they've drawn 2. The only Italian side who's reached a final unbeaten like that in the knockout stages, Juventus in 2015 and 2017. But the last Italian team to win the Champions League were Inter in 2010, and they're looking for their first final appearance since then in 13 years. In fact, it was held in the Bernabeu that year, wasn't it? They could be playing Real Madrid, but of course Manchester City will have something to say about that. And that semi-final, which is eagerly anticipated, will be live tomorrow night with all the build-up from 7. Mkhitaryan's gone down again. He's just been having treatment. He's struggling a little bit, and a substitution is going to have to happen. We'll go to Kenilworth Road. Update Jonathan O'Brien.
4 minutes to half-time here. Luton still leading Sunderland 1-0, and I think Tony Mowbray's side will be relieved to go in at the break if it remains this way, because Luton have had the vast majority of the chances. Carlton Morris, their top scorer, hasn't missed much this season, but he did miss a flick from Adebayo's pullback, which could have put Luton 2 up. They deserve to be 2 up on the pattern of play, but it remains 1-0, which means the semi-final is locked at 2-all on aggregate.
And here it's 0-0 on the night, but 2-0 to Inter, and Henrik Mkhitaryan, the former Manchester United and Arsenal player, unable to see out the half, so that change has been made, and Brozovic has come on to replace him. Marcelo Brozovic, the Croatian international, 85 caps now in his 9th full season here at Inter. Bastoni just guides his header back to Onana. They're trying to tie him down to a new deal, our Inter, for Alessandro Bastoni, 17 caps for Italy, who they signed from Atalanta in 2017, then loaned him back, but with Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain and Juventus all being linked with him, his deal till 2024, they want him on a longer deal than that. They don't want to lose him on a free, as Leao sends over a cross into the penalty area, falls to Brahim Diaz on the volley, right-footed, blocked, edge of the area. Teo Hernandez also there. Dzeko loses the ball, and then it's hit forward by Chow. Leao stays forward, bouncing ball that he brings under control. Out of play, it goes for a throw. Goal at Kenilworth Road. Jonathan.
Oh, listen to this. Kenilworth Road rivaling the San Siro right now as Luton take a 2-0 lead against Sunderland. I'm worried for this main stand, it's shaking so much. Tom Lockyer, the captain, up from the back to head in a right wing cross. Luton take the lead on aggregate. It's 2-0 against Sunderland.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was like here an 8 o'clock kickoff as the throw from Teo Hernandez for Milan, edge of the area, it's going to fall. Ball played back to Tomori. Tomori swings at that, it hangs in the air, it drops for Bastoni then to head it away. Krunic plays the ball square and gives it away. Çalhanoğlu, we're into stoppage time now in the first half. 3 minutes of stoppage time, 0-0. Inter then still have that 2-0 lead from the first leg. Both sides have had chances, neither side has been able to take them. Bastoni at the back, all the way to Onana. There'll have to become a point then in the second half where Milan do have to throw caution to the wind at some point.
You would have thought so. I mean, there'll come a time where they'll just have to be a little bit more reckless, a little bit more open, and just try and go for it.
DeMarco meanwhile sends over a cross. Teo Hernandez hasn't dealt with it. Dumfries in the penalty area showed too much of it and swept to safety by Chow. Tonali to Leao. Two of them combining on this near side. Tonali was caught by Darmian. That'll be a free kick to Milan midway through their own half in stoppage time here on BBC Radio 5 Live.
They've just got to try and get the ball out to Leao as quick as they can. That really, for me, is the answer here. Either make him drop deep or try and hit him in behind, pull wide, just get it into him, get him to isolate Darmian as often as he can. And if he gets a run at Acerbi as well, coming inside with Giroud, I just think that is the best bet for Milan. They haven't had enough ball over to him in this first half.
The beat of the drum prompts the Milan supporters to find their voices yet again inside San Siro. Dumfries climbs to head the ball away in front of Teo Hernandez. Tomori takes the throw. Back then to Chow. Tomori on the halfway line will go square. Krunic passes the ball to Calabria. Brahim Diaz now takes over midway through the Inter half, 6 yards in from the touchline. Back with Brahim Diaz. Strokes it back to Chow. Patient play by Milan. Teo Hernandez. Inter have everybody dropping off behind the ball. Chow passes the ball out wide towards the right. Messias drops midway through the Inter half, just in from the touchline. Now back it goes to the centre circle. They can't prize a way through at the moment. Inter keeping their shape. Calabria, Messias closed down by the left wing back, DeMarco. Messias now hits it forward. Tonali with a flick header, might fall through to Brahim Diaz, but the referee had already blown his whistle. As Brahim Diaz seemed to be have his legs chopped, the referee's whistle had gone, and it'll be a free kick to Inter. And now Giroud and Tonali are pleading with the French referee, Clément Turpin. They felt there might have been a foul in there.
I think they're complaining about something. Giroud really did protest strongly. I think there was contact on Diaz as the tackle comes across, but Giroud comes towards that ball and Tonali's running across the face of him and he doesn't communicate with him, so Tonali ends up leaving the ball. It just hits Giroud, he can't really bring it down, causes a little bit of confusion just on the edge of the Inter box.
Onana hits it downfield, and whilst he does that, the referee blows the half-time whistle. It's Inter 0, Milan 0 on the night. Inter lead 2-0 on aggregate, but Milan certainly will not have had a better chance to change the course of this tie when Tonali on the left-hand side to Brahim Diaz, and really should have scored. Onana made the save. Leao's had a chance since across the face of goal, and then Maignan making a fantastic reflex save from Çalhanoğlu's free kick that was fired in. Your thoughts, Matt Upson?
Interesting game, you know, poised nicely, tactically two very different sides in terms of how they're setting up, but you just can't help but feel those opportunities that have fallen to Brahim Diaz there, that moment, they're the moments that you have to make count in matches like this when you're backed up against the wall and you're 2-0 down in the tie. That has to go in, and you know, it's just got that feeling of Inter just edging back into this, and that breakaway goal just totally dampening the hope of Milan. But interesting game in second half, and see how they have to come out.
And Kelly, I think for the first time tonight, and it's all relative, San Siro feels relatively, well, quieter, not silent, but quieter for the first time in a long time.
Time for everybody to catch their breath at half-time at the San Siro. Ian Dennis and Matt Upson will be back with you for the second half of that one. Into 2-0 up on aggregates, 0-0 on the night between Inter and Milan. Asmir Begovic and Mina Razuki are with me as well. Asmir, you seem like the perfect person to come to here because the goalkeepers, both of them, have made crucial saves in that first half.
They certainly have. Good to see them doing their thing. I mean, both of us very good saves. I mean, Mike Mignon has really established himself as one of the best goalkeepers in the world with his spell at Milan so far, and of course taking over as France #1 for the future. So I mean, he's doing incredibly well, and I think Onana as well, making a couple of really nice saves. But you know, we said it earlier before the game that if Milan can get that early goal, then things can change. And Brahim Diaz had the chance of all chances and could have really swung the game for Milan.
Yeah, Mina, I can see you wincing at that miss from that shot from Diaz. And there've been look, Inter have had their own chances in this game, but Milan could have got themselves right back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you just that chance was so good. I mean, if they had managed it, it would just help Milan a lot more. But also Rafael Leao had a great chance as well. He attempted one with his left foot just wide. That would have also been something that Milan could have clutched onto going into the second leg. I think when you sort of judge teams, and especially Stefano Pioli, who we discussed earlier, possibly with his job on the line, you have to look at these chances missed by his players, and you have to sometimes just concede that when it comes to Dzeko, who can manage the kind of goals that he managed in the first leg, and you see the chances missed now by Milan, who really need to take them, then this is all you can do, right? You can try to create the chances, and they certainly did, but if you're not efficient, then unfortunately you're gonna be subjected to the counter-attack that Inter love so much.
Mina, Asmir, for now, thank you very much. Another crucial game taking place at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton Town against Sunderland with Jonathan Overend.
What a first half we've seen here. Luton leading Sunderland by 2-0 means that they've turned this semi-final on its head. Sunderland, remember, led 2-1 after the first leg, but Luton have been so aggressive in this first half. Rob Edwards have sent them out with a plan to play at 100 mile an hour, play high up the pitch, and they really have sent the shivers up Sunderland from the word go. Gabe Osho poked in the first after a goalmouth scramble on 10 minutes, and captain Tom Lockyer headed in the second 4 minutes before half-time. But between that, a whole series of chances for Luton, who could have been further ahead at the break. However, Sunderland will point to a big penalty shout on 14 minutes, which could have changed the atmosphere. The ball struck the arm of Luton defender Amari Bell. Had Simon Hooper had VAR, as he does every week in the Premier League, almost certainly he would have given a penalty. But as it is, it's Luton 2, Sunderland 0, and Luton lead 3-2 on aggregate.
Jonathan Overend, thank you very much. Jonathan's going to keep us up to date with everything that happens in the second half of that game. It is very tense at the moment. Kenilworth Road absolutely rocking as they turn that playoff semi-final on its head in the second leg. In the Scottish League One playoffs, it's the first leg between Annan and Clyde, and it's 1-1 at the moment. Coming up, we're going to preview a big weekend of boxing in Dublin, and of course, we'll be back to the San Siro for the second half of the Milan derby in the Champions League semi-final second leg. That's coming up after the BBC News with Juliana Cassidy.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Rishi Sunak has told European leaders more needs to be done to end illegal migration. He's held talks with the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, on how to tackle the issue. The boss of the company behind the artificial intelligence tool ChatGPT says the technology could be as significant as the invention of the printing press. Leading technology executives have warned the rapid rise of AI, though, could pose a threat to humanity. 2 poultry workers in England have tested positive for bird flu after coming into contact with infected animals. The UK Health Security Agency say neither had any symptoms, though, and there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission. And MPs have been told that fining parents whose children are persistently absent from school doesn't work, and it can make the problem worse. Charity leaders have told a government inquiry that penalties often put more pressure on already struggling families.
This is 5 Live, your football station.
The UEFA Champions League
With Kelly Cates.
Second half coming up from the San Siro very shortly, into 2-0 up on aggregate against Milan. But after a brilliant first 45 minutes, there's a big second half still to come, where Milan could try and play themselves back in for a chance of reaching the Champions League final on June the 10th in Istanbul. Time now for some boxing, though. It's a huge fight this Saturday. Ireland's Katie Taylor faces Britain's Chantel Cameron. We've got commentary on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds from 10 o'clock on Saturday, and Steve Bunce has landed in Dublin. I'm going to say it's for fight week, Buncey, but it's the start of, 7 weeks of huge fights?
7 weeks of huge fights. If we just stick with the women, Kelly, we've never had a period like this. We've got 7 weeks. We've got 6 world title fights involving 6 British women and involving also Katie Taylor, who's basically licensed in the UK. I've never known a period like it. I've never known a time like it. And what's more, they're not just fights that are going under the radar. They're main events in massive arenas. They're main events in City. And as for this one, Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron in Dublin on Saturday, I don't need to tell you that the City, every single person in the City, from the guys at the airport to the cab drivers to the person checking me into the hotel to the waiter and the owner of the restaurant, everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, regardless of where her licence is, she's very much
Absolutely.
Irish, and there's a real pride in Katie Taylor. She said this could be the hardest fight of her career so far, though.
It is the hardest fight of her career, and I've got to tell you, I wrote this week and was talking when I was in Guadalajara. I thought I'd get that in before you mentioned it 10 days ago. I was talking that this is not just the hardest fight of Katie Taylor's career. I think in all my years of working in this business, I think it's one of the riskiest, if not the riskiest fight that a champion has taken, and especially if you consider it's her first fight here since she fought in a beauty salon. I don't mean she had a row with the person doing her nails. The actual fight was at the beauty salon back in 2016. Why? And the question I'm asking you, you don't have the answer, I don't have the answer. Why has she chosen such a difficult and hard fight for what is essentially a homecoming? I find it bewildering. Chantel Cameron's unbeaten. She's younger. She holds the 4 belts at the weight above Katie Taylor. And plus, they've got a little bit of animosity, a little bit of history. It's a sensational fight. But hear me, she could have taken one of about 20 women, and she would have beaten the other 19 comfortably. She chose Cameron. It's brilliant. It's ridiculous.
Oh, Buncey, as always, I'm now looking forward to it even more. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to hear from you, as always. And you can hear more on the 5 Live Boxing Podcast with Steve Bunce. It's out now on BBC Sounds. There's a new episode out every single day this week, and that starts from tomorrow. To golf now is the second men's major of the year, the US PGA Championship this week. We've got commentary of the third round from 9 o'clock on Saturday on 5 Sports Extra, and of the final round from 8:40 on Sunday on 5 Live. Ian Carter is at Oak Hill in Rochester near New York. And Ian, you've been talking to the world number 1, Jon Rahm.
Yes, the Masters winner, who subsequent to that victory at Augusta finished 15th at Hilton Head the week afterwards, and then second in Mexico in his only other tournament action since that victory in the Masters. He leads the statistics in every category of the game right now. He's the world number 1. Undoubtedly, he's brimful of confidence. And I asked him what it was like to be wearing that Masters green jacket.
Yeah, it feels really good. Obviously, I wouldn't know how else to say it. Right, it's been great to be the Masters champion, but coming this week, you gotta focus on what the task at hand is, right, and hopefully win back to back.
What does having won the Masters do for you in terms of the confidence for the next major, I guess?
You know, it gives me confidence that a lot of times we focus on the bad draws and this and that, and you know, I can say proudly that I had the worst draw and ended up winning the tournament, right? So it showed me that there's so many things that can happen, right? Before halfway through the third round, I was 4 shots back, and you know, with all this weather changes and stoppage and all that, and I ended up winning by 4 shots, right? So it showed me, again, what a lot of people mean by patience is that exactly. There's a lot of golf to be played. Focus on yourself and what you can do, and hope for the best.
Give us an insight of just where you are mentally, because technically everything is number 1 right now, and that's
stats. That's what you guys focus on. I don't think about that. I try to play my best golf, that's all.
Okay, so but give us an idea of what's gone into all of that to find yourself in that position.
we don't have nearly enough time for me to be able to explain all that. Obviously, the one thing I would say is it's the work is done at home. This is the work you do at home, and having the discipline to do the things you don't want to do. Is what adds up.
Ian, you said that John Rahm is the man to beat, and in your column after the Masters, you said this is a chance for him to go on now and dominate the sport. He doesn't really want to talk about what he says are the stats, the figures that everyone else is talking about, but we can.
We can, and we should, really, because I think that he certainly has the capability of being the greatest Spanish golfer ever, and that's some statement when you consider Seve Ballesteros. But Rahm is someone who is driven by history. He is driven by wanting to be the best, and he is in such a rich vein of form. And as we know, it can be a very temporary thing in golf, so we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. But given the nature of that victory at Augusta, the way that he was talking there about the fact that he came from the wrong side of the draw. He won by 4 shots. He gave everyone a head start by 4 putting the first green, for goodness sake. You know, it was one of the great major performances. And I have to say, here at Oak Hill, looking at the golf course, feeling the cool winds, looking at the length and looking at the attributes that will be needed, if he can come anywhere close to the form that he showed at Augusta, he could potentially go back-to-back in the majors. And then you are talking about a seriously dominant golfer. But there are other candidates out there, and Scotty Scheffler is the prime rival, I think, this week, but there are a number of players who could really challenge him. I just think it's going to be fascinating to see how this European goes, not only this week, but in the coming months and years, because he certainly has the potential to be a dominant force.
Ian, thank you very much for joining us, and we've got a special US PGA preview podcast which is out later tonight. It's got interviews with Rory McIlroy, Team Europe Ryder Cup captain Luke Donald, and the 2003 PGA Championship winner Sean McKeel. Just search for the 5 Live All About feed on BBC Sounds. Jill Scott's Coffee Club is back for a second series. Episode 1 is out first thing tomorrow. It's got lionesses and best friends Kira Walsh and Georgia Stanway. Jill and Ben Haynes chat to them about their friendship on and off the pitch and what gets on their nerves about each other.
This is probably a compliment to Kira, but her feet wind me up when we're in training.
Why so?
So how good that she is with her feet, and yeah, when she does the little body check movements, it's the hardest to defend.
Kira used to wind me up on purpose because she'd just keep hold of the ball because she knew that she was just like sending us left, sending us right. And yeah, that is an absolute daily grind. Because you could have just passed the ball and put us out of our misery.
I'll be honest, I did used to do that too.
Yeah.
I used to be laughing like, ha.
You did.
Jill would be like trying to chase.
Okay, let's flip over.
Mine for Georgia?
Yeah.
She really annoys me because she doesn't have an indoor voice. She shouts all the time. Even when I'm just sat 5 yards away, she shouts. I'm like, Georgia, I'm only sat here
that's fair.
in a meeting.
You hear her before you see her.
Question. Right, stop! And I'm like, Georgia, why are you shouting? We're in the meeting room.
You actually do that, G.
If you want to listen to the full episode there, it includes a cameo from Leah Williamson. That's who you heard right at the very end there. Make sure you're subscribed to Jill Scott's Coffee Club feed on BBC Sounds. Second half is fast approaching at the San Siro. Inter are 2-0 up against Milan from the first leg of their Champions League semi-final. It's been a fascinating first half. It is, as Matt Upson has been saying in commentary, very finely poised ahead of the second 45 minutes. Milan have to take their chances, though. With you at the San Siro, Matthew Upson and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. Just under 76,000 are inside San Siro tonight. They were looking to break £10 million in ticket revenue, or €10 million, for this one game alone. Remember the first leg last week, there were 2 million ticket requests, so it's certainly a sought-after affair as we're back underway. Neither side has made a change at half-time, but of course Inter did make one during the first half with Brozovic coming on for Mkhitaryan. So, for the blue and black of the Nerazzurri, Inter playing from right to left as we look. Onana in goal. Back three of Darmian, Acerbi and Bastoni. Dumfries and DeMarco, the wing-backs, right and left respectively. In the midfield now is Brozovic, Çalhanoğlu and Barella, with Martinez and Dzeko as the two up front. The 37-year-old Edin Dzeko. As for AC Milan, in their red and black striped shirts and white shorts. They have Mike Maignan in goal. Back four of Calabria, Chao, Tomori and Hernandez. Messias, Tonali and Krunic, the midfield three. Diaz, Leao and Olivier Giroud. Ball played forward, Dzeko, Martinez to DiMarco. Hits it first time, blocked inside the penalty area. Picked up by Barella, back heels the ball to Çalhanoğlu. Put out of play by Messias on the defensive for Milan. As Inter are attacking where their ultras are housed, away towards our left in the Curva Nord. The Milan supporters with their red and black and white flags flying, and their gigantic flags in the Curva Sud away towards our right-hand side. It is a spectacular sight for such an iconic stadium, and every time you post something on social media, people say, when's it going to get knocked down? Because the uncertain future, it remains shrouded in doubt as Martinez gets a decision against him. Free kick to Milan. It'll be a sad day for football when it goes.
I can't believe they'd knock it down. Honestly, it's just such a iconic stadium, isn't it? The circular walkways and that kind of industrial concrete look. It's really imposing when you stand outside it, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Spiral staircases, the striking red iron girders in the roof. It might be a relic, but it's one that is adored and loved by football fans. But in all parts of Europe and the world, one of the most iconic stadiums. And here they are, battling it out for a place in the Champions League final in Istanbul on the 10th of June, which just happens to be Carlo Ancelotti's 64th birthday. But it is looking like there'll be no reunion for him against his former club in Istanbul, as Brozovic goes all the way back to Onana. And after that early scare from Brahim Diaz and then Leao having on across the face of goal, Milan have struggled to create chances. Sometimes you have to pinch yourself to think, how are they in a Champions League semi-final when they were... Chelsea deservedly beat them in both games in the group stages, but they knocked out Napoli in the quarter-finals, the Serie A champions. And I've got to say, having been in Naples earlier this season, I was really surprised by that.
Well, that was the big surprise, wasn't it? Napoli, in terms of form in the Champions League, we just got off to an unbelievable start in the group, didn't they? Beating teams 5 or 6 and, you know, banging in goals. So for Milan to beat them was some achievement.
DiMarco trying to run his way into the penalty area, picked up by Maignan, and indeed they actually went away to Naples in early April in Serie A and dismantled Napoli by 4-0, so they're capable of scoring goals. They need 2 without reply to take us into extra time here on BBC Radio 5 Live. I mean, they had to gamble on Leao's fitness, but he just doesn't look fit.
But he's not going at players as you'd expect.
No.
When he's fully fit and at it, he really does get hold of the ball and just run at people.
Messias scoops over the cross and that drifts out of play and out for a goal kick. 5 minutes into the second half. We were saying earlier about in Champions League history that only one team has come back from such a deficit in the semi-final stage, and indeed Milan have failed to come back in their last 3 Champions League knockout ties where they've lost the first leg. Manchester United 13 years ago, 2011 against Tottenham, and Atletico Madrid in 2014. So the history, the stats, everything was against Milan in order for them to do it here tonight against Inter. But it would be the first time in this long, illustrious history between the two that they would have failed to score in 4 successive games if they hit a blank here tonight. Lautaro Martinez loses the ball. A red flare has been let off in the middle tier of the Curva Nord away towards our left in the Inter end. Martinez out towards DiMarco. The referee tells Martinez to get up to his feet, and then there was a challenge coming in on Messias on Çalhanoğlu, and I don't think the referee actually saw that because he was telling Martinez to get to his feet.
I think it's Chao rolling around on the ground as well in that challenge with Martinez, but the game's just gone into a real scruffy 5 minutes or so where nobody really getting hold of the ball. It's up in the air a lot, it's bouncing around. The quality's not been great, has it, in terms of footballing quality when you compare it to the other tie. That's on another level for me in terms of technical quality and how they play, but it's got that derby feel. A bit more rough and ready this game, isn't it?
Here is Brozovic, Çalhanoğlu, Matt Upson, the former England international, who's with us here in San Siro tonight for BBC Radio 5 Live. Çalhanoğlu level the penalty area on this near side, the left. The referee has blown his whistle. There's a player gone down off the ball inside the penalty area there. Referee spotted it, it's a free kick. Maignan goes to complain towards him. You can't help but feel that if Manchester City get past Real Madrid, they'll never have a better chance of winning the Champions League.
No, you really do feel that. You feel like the winner is probably going to be in that tie. But I suppose Inter, and a great run of form though, Deno. They are flying.
Yeah, they are. 7 successive wins, 8 unbeaten, 1 defeat in their last 12 in all competitions. They've got the Coppa Italia final against Fiorentina in Rome to look forward to very, very soon. As the smoke from that extinguished flare is now just starting to drift into the Milan sky here on BBC Radio 5 Live, 8 minutes into the second half. Simeone Inzaghi in his suit just telling his players to calm down. They're in the ideal position. 0-0 on the night, leading 2-0 on aggregate. As the ball goes back, Tomori hits it away downfield up towards Leao. Darmian throws himself in front of Leao and it goes out for a Milan throw-in on that left-hand side.
It's interesting because Messias is out on this right-hand side, isn't he? He's played the whole game high and wide on the right with Diaz in that number 10 position, and the two midfield players of Tonali and Krunic have not really been able to get hold of the ball or get on the ball in that middle of the park. They haven't played through the middle at all, hardly, Milan. It's all either gone long or it's gone wide, and they've not been able to kind of break a line or find a player with a little pocket of space just to turn, then lend it into Giroud or wide or make things happen. It's been a very pedestrian build-up for me, and which has allowed Inter just to sit back and not be really that troubled and be happy just to sit there and allow Milan to stroke the ball around the back and into the right back position, but then eventually it goes long, or the quality of that ball forward just isn't good enough.
Can't recall Messias having any impact whatsoever on the Milan right.
No, and he's playing wide on the right hand side. I thought they were going to play a bit more of a 3 in the middle of the park and try and get somebody on the ball a bit more central, maybe push Diaz a little bit higher, whom Diaz hasn't really had one of his best games either.
You actually have to go back to January 2016. So none of the last 20 derbies have produced a scoreline suitable for tonight for Milan. So they give the ball away. Dzeko, and in those last 20 derbies they've won 4, drawn 5 and lost 11, as DiMarco is going to take a throw. In fact, no, it'll be Inzaghi who's going to hand the ball to Bastoni instead in his technical area. They just look like a team now, after that early scare where Brahim Diaz really should have scored for Milan. They look like a team that's in control.
Yeah, Milan haven't come out with a lot of fight in this second half, I have to say. I thought they were going to really raise the tempo in the first 5-10 minutes, really try and go for it, but I've not seen any of that yet.
Tonali charging forward for Milan, playing from left to right as we look here inside San Siro. Forward ball, Giroud, heavy touch, tried to lay it off towards Leao. Leao had gone forward, it was easily intercepted by Dumfries, and the French referee Clément Turpin is going to show yellow for the first time tonight, and it is Malik Thiaw who is shown the yellow card.
Well, good play from Martinez, gets the ball first, he's just quicker than Thiaw. Lifts the ball over him, tries to go past him, he just gets blocked and brought down. The referee's been very lenient, hasn't he? The first yellow card has allowed the play to carry on in most tackles.
And all of a sudden, that decision has prompted the Inter supporters to raise the volume even more inside San Siro, because as every minute ticks by, they're a minute closer to being in Istanbul on June the 10th. who's edging closer towards Wembley. The last we heard, it was Luton Town. Jonathan Overend.
Yes, on the old scoreboard to my left, it suggests it's going to be Luton in 2-0 up against Sunderland, and they picked up after the break where they left off at the end of the first. And really, Jordan Clark should have put them 3-0 up when he had the whole goal to aim at after Anthony Patterson, the Sunderland keeper, miskicked inside his own box, but he blazed it into the stand. Luton 2, Sunderland 0 it remains.
And it remains 0-0 here on the night. 2-0 to Inter on aggregate. Inter, who was spawned from Milan. AC Milan formed in 1899 by a group including the English lace master Herbert Kilpin and the businessman Alfred Edwards. Inter then founded 1908 when they split. And they're looking at reaching the Champions League final. What would be their 6th European final, but their first in 13 years. And they're on the offensive now. DeMarco into Dzeko. Dzeko in the inside left channel with the cutback. There though is Krunic to play the ball short and forward towards Messias. Dancing down his technical area is the suited Simeone Inzaghi. Desperate for his players to get back as Milan working across towards the far side. And then Leao to Teo Hernandez. At a walking pace, Krunic now finds Brahim Diaz. He sends over the cross. Leao goes down under a challenge from Dumfries and a wag of the finger from Clement Turpin, the French referee. It'll be a goal kick, 0-0.
Well, again, just a bit of a hopeful ball, really. A deep cross from Diaz into the box. OK, Rafael Leao's on the run, but it's not carving Inter open, is it? It's just clipping balls into the box, which I feel they're just going to deal with all evening.
Rory Smith, who, of course, regular listeners to BBC Radio 5 Live, you'll hear him on the Monday Night Club with Mark Chapman, but we saw him last week and he thought that the San Siro last week was the loudest stadium he'd ever heard. I was tempted to say Belgrade when I was in Serbia a few years ago. Whilst you were talking and both sets of supporters are singing, I just removed the headphones just to try and sample the noise, and I actually think that this might be the loudest stadium I've ever been in.
Well, you obviously weren't one of the 421 people in Chesnia. Is it Chesnia? Chesnia? Cesena. All those years ago, Deno, because that was blistering.
That was it. A year before I joined the BBC. Free kick to Milan. Flags continue to fly. Just that constant noise. Lukaku, who scored 2 goals at the weekend for Inter, is going to be coming on, and in fact it's going to be a double change. Robin Gosens as well is going to be coming on, the German. He made his comeback at the weekend for I think the last half an hour for Inter Milan. He damaged his shoulder in a goal celebration just a few weeks ago. Dzeko loses the ball outside the D. Ball now with Teo Hernandez, looking towards Leao, forward, gets away from Dumfries, tries to hook it into the penalty area. Oh, that was an awkward fall for Dumfries. He's continued his run and he's gone headfirst over the advertising hoardings. He emerges and clambers back over. As now it's with Lautaro Martinez at the other end. Gets away from Tomori, but Tomori recovers with a foot into the challenge and is helped out by Krunic. As we approach the hour now on BBC Radio 5 Live, and 0-0 on the night. Milan, all of a sudden, you just sense are starting to increase the tempo a little bit, trying to get their way back into this semi-final tie. Darmian stretches, heads it away on the edge of his own box, comes towards Dumfries, clatters it away downfield. Gosens and Lukaku wait to come on. Incidentally, on the bench, Alexander Stankovic for Inter tonight, the 17-year-old son of Dejan Stankovic, who was part of the Champions League winning side in 2010, now the coach of Sampdoria. Messias cuts in field, sends over a cross, too deep, one bounce out of play for a goal kick.
Oh, Olivier Giroud, he's got his head in his hands, he's really having a go at Messias with that delivery. I mean, there was 4 or 5 Milan players in the box, but he's just come inside on his left foot and he's just chipped the ball with far too much height, easily drifting out of play. And another opportunity to put some quality into that box goes begging, and it just hasn't been there this second half. The quality going forwards and the passing and the invention really from Milan just hasn't been at the level that's going to break this side down.
Interesting there with the goal kick. Bastoni actually took that goal kick. So whether Onana has picked up
everything's been short, hasn't it?
Yeah.
They've both centre-backs have been on the corner of the 6-yard box, and they've either been playing short to play out, or like you said, one of them is taking the kick long.
The Milan supporters chanted there, and then you could quickly hear the whistles and the jeers from the Inter supporters. Now Chow has gone down at the other end. Either it's cramp, a touch of cramp, but he's feeling his calf on his right leg. I think it might well just be cramp, the way that they're just trying to bend the toes back of his right foot. As the Inter fans inside San Siro rise to their feet and once again raise the volume levels. BBC Radio 5 live in Milan. Tomorrow we're live in Manchester for Manchester City against Real Madrid, and on Thursday night AZ Alkmaar against West Ham for the Europa Conference League second leg semi-final. And then at the weekend, Wolves-Everton on Saturday, to be followed by Nottingham Forest against Arsenal, and on Sunday West Ham, Leeds United, Manchester City, Chelsea. And you heard from Ian Carter earlier in the programme, of course, the USPGA, and this weekend coverage on Sports Extra and 5 Live on Saturday and Sunday respectively. Let's go back to Kenilworth Road. Jonathan Overend.
Cracking atmosphere, as you can imagine, Ian. Luton leading Sunderland 2-0 and 3-2 on aggregate as... Oh, Adebayo with a header from a corner and it's cleared off the line. Another big chance for Luton, who are really stacking up the clear chances in this match. They lead Sunderland 2-0 on the night, 3-0 on aggregate.
Thank you, Jonathan.
3-2, sorry.
Kalulu is going to be coming on for Milan. So... I don't think Chow is going to be able to continue. He's hobbling still at the heart of that Milan defence. Leao gives away a free kick to Inter. 63 minutes played. So Kalulu, who played at the weekend, can play as a right back or indeed as a central defender. The French under-21 international is going to come on for Chow to partner for Kayo Tomori, the England international.
Yeah, I think he may well have just pulled up with cramp there, Chow. Didn't look like he actually pulled his hamstring or anything, just a bit of cramp, but Kalulu's just going to slot into that right-sided centre-back position alongside Tomori. Like you say, you get the feeling that Lukaku's going to be introduced at some point in this game. I mean, that's difficult when your legs are a little bit tired. All of a sudden you've got Lukaku with his pace and strength trying to run at you and hold you off. He scored a cracking goal at the weekend, didn't he, with his left foot?
Yeah, scored 2, and one of them against Sassuolo was an absolute cracker for Lukaku on loan from Chelsea. Tomori, former Chelsea player, shortened to his right for Calabria. Brahim Diaz, just over the halfway line, being patrolled by Bastoni. Curls it out towards that far side, the left for Theo Hernandez. He goes inside to Brahim Diaz now in a central area, and he's always falling to the floor. Just lacks the strength.
He's just given the ball away.
Did it so many times last week
in this game. Honestly, every time he's had the ball, he's not going past anyone. Like you say, he's just getting brushed off the ball every time.
DeMarco, he was fed the ball by Dzeko, struck his heels, unfortunately for Inter, tries to win it back against Calabria, and then the ball cleared out of play and charged down by Dzeko. And now here comes that double change from Inter that they've been waiting to make for a while. Gosens and Dzeko's going to be coming off. So Romelu Lukaku is going to come on for Dzeko. DeMarco has also actually gone down as well. I would imagine that Gosens will replace him. Indeed it is. So they're like-for-like changes. Matt Upton.
Yeah, they've got a good strength in depth in comparison into, haven't they? When you look at their bench, they've got players that can come on and really impact the game. Goosen's very steady. Obviously, Lukaku, if he's in the moment, can be devastating. So, you know, it's a great opportunity. It's a great thing to have on the bench, really, for Inter, that kind of power. at this stage of the game for sure, because he's going to ask a question, Lukaku. He's going to ask a question of Tomori and Kalulu, both physically, or especially physically, especially when he just tries to hold the ball up or back into players. He's a tough guy to shift out of the way.
Well, Gosens is on loan from Atalanta, and they've got an option to buy because there was supposed interest from Newcastle United. So he's made 43 appearances this season and contributed 4 goals, but his recent goal against Lazio, he dislocated a shoulder with his goal celebration, so he only came back at the weekend for the last half an hour after missing 2 or 3 games following that incident. So double change made by Inter, and we've been playing for 66 minutes and it remains 0-0. Your first experience of a Milan derby inside San Siro, you'd want to go away with hearing at least 1 goal, wouldn't you? The noise.
You would want a goal. Can we conjure one up, please? I don't think it's going to happen. Do you?
Not at the minute.
No, it's not. But the reason why I say it is because Inter now, they're in a perfect position.
Yeah.
The game's scruffy. There's a lot of fouls, a couple of injuries, there's stop-start. They're forcing Milan into poor decisions in terms of the quality with the ball. Came out wide to Messias a moment ago. He tried to hook it round the corner and just kind of hoofed it straight up in the air. They're the type of things that are happening at the moment, and they don't need a goal. They just got to be solid, see the game out, make it scruffy. It suits them all the way. Into
here is Leao now, picking up the ball, moving out to the right, does a little trick, tries to work over the cross, came off Acerbi, and then the last touch was off Leao, and then he whips up the Inter crowd as well. And then there is a little handshake there between Acerbi and Bastoni as the ball is picked up by Onana, and they are safely negotiating this semi-final second leg tie, and we've got a quarter of the game remaining and it remains 0-0, and Inter are just over 20 minutes away plus stoppage time from reaching Istanbul. It could have been oh so different had Brahim Diaz not squandered that chance after 11 minutes. Time is running out for Milan, who had actually had a proud record in semi-finals of the Champions League, albeit this their first in 16 years, but they had won 8 of their last 9 at this stage in the competition. The 7 times winners of the Champions League, as Tonali runs forward, as the booming sound comes out from the Inter end away towards our left-hand side with the thunderclap. And now Calabria forward for Milan, still 0-0. BBC Radio 5 Live, and we're live on BBC Sounds. Krunic, Calabria sends over a cross. Leao with a header, tried to head it down into the ground for Messias to make the run, and it was dived on by the goalkeeper Onana.
That's a chance. Got runners off him, tries to cushion the header, but maybe actually go for the power and head it down in the ground, go for goal. Maybe head it back across to the far post there, just get a good contact, try and skip it off the turf. But for the one time in this second half, he had some options. He had Messias running off of him, but couldn't find the quality of just the cushion, couldn't take the pace off the ball enough, Leao.
Acerbi now breaking forward. The defender might have a shot here. It was blocked, and it came back and struck his body and looped and rebounded back towards the goalkeeper, Mike Maignan. Just opened up for him.
It did. It just, players all just parted, kept going and going and going right to the edge of the 18-yard box, and then had a pop. But just then, Deno, when it then gets into Magnan's hands, that's where you want something quick to happen. You want him to play that out quickly and try and catch into advance. That they're just so slow in developing the play, and into just slipping straight back into that back 5 with midfield players in there and just crowding the box, not allowing any space.
Calabria forward, Messias makes a diagonal run, 25 yards out from goal. Leao's in a central area, tries to roll away from Barella, takes the ball with him, forced away from the penalty area. Now the close down by Brozovic, it rebounds towards Lukaku. Lukaku up against Tomori. Tomori takes it away off his toes and will pass the ball back to Maignan.
Did well there, Tomori. Didn't dive in, didn't panic. Lukaku wanted to get in behind him, but he really used his body well, took up a great position, showed him out wide, and then just took the ball off his toe. Good defending from Tomori.
It's been an occasion with the atmosphere but the match itself has been disappointing as it still remains 0-0. Messias on this near side. Could, however, a goal from Milan set us up for an interesting finale. In comes the cross, flicked on by Giroud. They just haven't created hardly anything. Nothing of note in the second half.
No, nothing at all. It's been hopeful balls into the box.
Acerbi's gone down, by the way. That'll be cramp as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, they've got Dzeko's 37. Acerbi, who's on loan from Lazio, is 35. Darmian, formerly of Manchester United, is 33. You know, they've got some old legs in there of Inter.
Yeah. Brozovic.
Yeah, he's 30.
Yeah. They're not the youngest team, but they're experienced, aren't they? Maybe he has got a bit of cramp here, Acerbi, but I'm sure he's well drilled in running the clock down a little bit as well. And this is now what's happening. It's just slowing the tempo of the game, which in fairness, Milan just aren't driving it enough. You wouldn't have thought they're going out of the Champions League in a derby match within the next 20 odd minutes. They're not playing like that's the case, are they?
No.
Not got that energy or the will to make something happen at the moment.
Lukaku picks up the ball on the halfway line, charges forward on that far side to right. He's got support in the shape of Barella, tries to backheel the ball towards Lukaku. Theo Hernandez was there for Milan, now towards Tonali, runs in field midway through his own half. Tonali behind Messias.
But that says it all for me. You've got to pass it quicker. Messias made the run, it needs one or two touches, bang, pass it. Do it quickly. Get the wrong side of Inter, who have come forward, thrown a few bodies forward as an opportunity to exploit those spaces, and just hasn't happened in the second half for Milan at all. Just looking at Pioli on the sideline, he's looking a bit frustrated, trying to get some messages onto the players, but it's not happening for them at the moment.
No, it's not 0-0 on the night still. Bastoni for Inter with a throw on this near side, comes off the left thigh of Tomori. Now with Gosens on this near side to left, he cuts the ball into the feet of Martinez. Now Gosens to Lukaku on the edge of the area to Martinez back towards Gosens and Lukaku. They're getting each other's way to Lautaro Martinez, who scores, beats the goalkeeper inside his near post. That's the goal that Inter wanted, and Martinez means that Inter are bound for Istanbul. They lead 1-0 on the night, 3-0 on aggregate, and Inter celebrate wildly.
Listen to that noise. Wow. That's the loudest, longest cheer I've heard at a stadium when a goal's gone in. Everyone is off their seat in this place. Poor goal to concede from AC Milan's perspective, but Inter, they don't care. They've got the job done, and the crowd know it.
A flare has been let off in the middle tier away towards our left. Wherever you look around San Siro, and the Inter supporters, they've got their lights on their mobile phones that they're moving up and down. The only section of Inter in the San Siro that is not doing that is the middle tier towards our right-hand side, where the Milan supporters are silent. They had a motto for Milan, that the light never fades. Well, the lights are shining now, but Milan's Champions League hopes have faded, but the lights are shining brightly for Inter. 2010 was the last time they reached the final. If there was any nerves, with 15 minutes remaining, you can forget about that now. Inter will be taking on either Manchester City or Real Madrid, and they're jumping up and down all the way around San Siro. And this main stand is shaking, it's vibrating.
We've now got the wobble, and I've seen the first big red flare lit in the Curva Nord. They are having fun, shall we say. But what a poor goal, Deno, to concede from AC Milan's perspective. It was just tired, wasn't it? Lukaku's in, Gosens, they just didn't deal with the ball. They just popped it wide to Martinez, and he just hits it in the near post. Not the best piece of goalkeeping. It's quite close range, but Mannion lets that in the near post. It goes low. Martinez into that bottom corner. But you have to say, they haven't shown anywhere near enough attacking flair, AC Milan, overall in both legs.
No.
But certainly in this second half, they just haven't looked like scoring.
Double change being made, but it's surely too little too late from Stefano Pioli. Origi and Salamakers come on. Messias goes off, and Brahim Diaz goes off as well. A cacophony of noise inside San Siro, where Inter are leading Milan by a 1-0. Theo Hernandez with a free kick for Milan, and comes off the head of Giroud and out for a goal kick. As we now go to that Championship playoff semi-final at Kenilworth Road. Jonathan Overend.
15 minutes remaining. Luton 2, Sunderland 0. It means Luton lead 3-2 on aggregate, but as much as Luton have dominated this match and had the bulk of the chances, remember Sunderland are still only 1 goal away from potentially taking this into extra time, having won the first leg 2-1 at the Stadium of Light. Luton chances continue. Adebayor's header from close range over the bar, but Sunderland have played better in this second half. Luton still 2-0 ahead.
Thank you, Jonathan. BBC Radio 5 Live with 13 minutes remaining. And you can feel the relief of the Inter supporters, because they're celebrating in every area of San Siro. And if they thought it was hard scrambling for a ticket for this most sought after of semi-finals, a derby affair, now they'll start worrying about how we're going to get to Istanbul.
This is a great atmosphere now, isn't it? I didn't think we were going to get the goal. I'm glad we have, though.
I just took off my headphone. Here's Martinez again. Martinez clawed away by the goalkeeper behind. He was on for a double there. I just took off my headphones. I actually couldn't hear you without the headphones.
You what?
You only sat to my right. I can imagine some Inter supporters with the popcorn here.
Yeah.
You know, throwing the popcorn down, just revelling in
everywhere,
the atmosphere.
all over them.
All over. Inter 1, Milan 0, BBC Radio 5 Live. Çalhanoğlu knows. He goes over to the corner on the far side, and his arms are aloft because they're going to enjoy it. They are going to soak up every little bit of this atmosphere. Interesting for Çalhanoğlu, when he played for Milan in 7 games, he only had 1 win, he lost 5. How his fortunes have been reversed since he's an Inter player playing against his old side. As he waits to take the corner kick, in it comes now, it's an outswinger, and the header is off target from Acerbi. So since he swapped and left Milan for Inter, 4 wins, 2 draws and only 2 defeats in his 8 games. He wasn't able to experience that in his 172 games for Milan. But the Turkish playmaker is going back to his country. And what a proud moment that will be in Istanbul on June the 10th. No reunion for Carlo Ancelotti should Real Madrid, the defending champions, go through tomorrow. You'll hear that one, of course, on BBC Radio 5 Live tomorrow. All the build-up from 7. City against Real Madrid, the 14 times winners. Milan is the only city with 2 teams who have won the competition. Inter, just the 3. Can they make it 4 against all the odds? The last Italian side to triumph 13 years ago. And they're triumphing now here in this Milan derby, where Milan, for what will be the first time since Inter completed a clean sweep in 73-74, will have lost 4 successive games in one single season. It's the first time they've actually met 5 occasions in one campaign. And never in 115 years of history between the two, when they've been playing football, have Milan failed to score in 4 successive games. A bleak night for Milan, as a free kick goes against Krunic, who's shown a yellow card, and a bit of pushing and shoving going on now as tempers are flaring in the middle.
Yeah, it really is. Tomori went crashing into that situation, shoved the Cherby, and I think he fell backwards and tripped over, landed on his back, and all of a sudden all the players have come rushing in, all squaring up. I don't think the stadium needs this at the moment, to be honest. It's lively enough as it is.
Well, you remember the Champions League quarter-final between the two in 2005. The second leg was suspended for 25 minutes after the Inter fans were throwing flares onto the pitch and plastic bottles, and they tried to restart it, and eventually the game was abandoned, and Milan were awarded a 3-0 victory. Now that was classed as the derby of shame. It's Inter who will remember this for all the right reasons tonight. What was it that Simeone Inzaghi said? One of the most important games in Inter's history. 1-0 they lead, 8 minutes remain.
I mean, those flags haven't stopped, have they?
No.
They're big flags as well. Somebody's standing there and they've waved that flag. There's about, 30 or 40 large flags all being waved in unison for the whole game.
Yeah, that's some effort.
It is.
They'll have to take turns, surely. Here is Çalhanoğlu, tries to play it down the line to Lukaku. Inter lead by a goal to 0. 8 minutes to go. Giroud takes the ball into feet, plays it out towards Origi. Leao has gone central, Origi on the left-hand side. But they need 3 goals in 8 minutes. It ain't going to happen. Cleared away then by Darmian. By the way, if you've missed the goal, the beauty of BBC Sounds is that you can actually rewind. So if you want to hear that explosion of noise when Martinez scored that goal, you can do exactly that through the BBC Sounds app. It gives you that facility.
That's a tough moment for Milan, isn't it? In the run they're on, 4 points off of 4th in the league.
Yeah.
Big game coming up at the weekend. I mean, they've got to start winning, haven't they? Otherwise, they're going to be adrift from Champions League football. It's going to be a really disappointing season.
Yeah. The Serie A champions, of course, from last season, as Lukaku keeps the ball in play on the right-hand side, and he waves players to come forward. Lukaku to Martinez. Martinez almost slipped away from Tomori, and then it was clear inside the penalty area. Double change is going to be made. Correa and Gagliardini is going to be coming on for Inter Milan. He was a potential doubt, was the Argentine, Correa, but he's going to be coming on, and he's going to be replacing his fellow Argentine, the match winner, Lautaro Martinez, who has scored his 25th goal of the season, which equals last season, which is best ever return, and it takes him close to a century of goals for Inter. Lautaro Martinez with his 99th goal in his 233rd appearance. Correa comes on for him, and the other change is Gagliardini, who replaces Varela. Fresh legs in the midfield, but Inter are going through. They're going to reach the final, and remember, they are yet to trail at any point in the knockout stages, and they are on course for an 8th clean sheet out of 12 in the Champions League.
That's
the 7th
impressive.
last week was the first time in any European campaign that they'd actually achieved 7 clean sheets. They're adding to it.
That is impressive. The clean sheets is a vital part, isn't it, in being a tough team to beat. But Martinez comes off. He's been wearing the skipper's armband tonight, and he's been brilliant. I mean, he's been so influential across this whole tie, hasn't he? He's a constant nuisance. Doesn't give defenders a minute, chases everything down, and he's in good goal-scoring form. He's a real threat to any team.
Blow to the back of the head for Acerbi, who's down inside his penalty area. There are just the odd Inter supporters who are just starting to head towards the exits. The traffic is a nightmare getting away from this place. But I don't think many will care about that tonight if you're of the Inter persuasion.
Well, if we're leaving it up to you on your Uber app, we'll be here tomorrow.
Actually, I think you'll find I've done quite well. Have I not?
Would you rate it at that? Is that?
Well, keep on talking, you're walking home.
1 minute the car's 4 minutes away, and then it's half an hour away.
Well, that's not my fault. We got under 5 minutes remaining. It's a taxi for 2, I think. Here is Teo Hernandez. Stefano Pioli. They came into the derby game unbeaten in 9. Now it's going to be 3 successive defeats, and he will be a manager who will be coming under increasing pressure. Stefano Pioli. Onana missed out with Ajax in 2019. Waves everybody forward, strikes it right-footed downfield.
I mean, they just don't look like a team that can compete at this level at the moment, AC Milan. They really don't. In terms of creativity and attacking quality, I just haven't seen enough from them at all.
Challenge there from Tonali in the midfield, and Correa has stayed down. He's now on his knees, and it's going to be a free kick to Milan with 3 minutes remaining. Remember, in that Championship playoff semi-final, Luton Town are still leading Sunderland 2-0 on the night. That means that they lead 3-2 on aggregate, as the ball is played forward by Krunic. Tomori now has stayed forward, but Inter deal with that, and the break is on. Lukaku into the path of Correa. Just coming across was Krunic. Let's go to Kenilworth Road and Jonathan Overend.
Well, they are really counting down around me now, Ian. 85 minutes on the clock. Luton 2, Sunderland 0. Luton leading 3-2 on aggregate. 5 minutes away from Wembley in the playoff final. And worth reminding you that it was only 9 years ago when Luton won the conference under John Still and were promoted back to the Football League. They're 5 minutes away from Wembley and potentially 1 match away from the Premier League.
What a story that would be. Coventry and Middlesbrough, of course, will play in the second semi-final. Tony Mowbray, who's done an excellent job at the Stadium of Light, but falling short. But Luton Town, with excellent recruitment, a rise through the Football League in that relatively short spell of time. Here we are, though, in San Siro. The Milan supporters, to their credit, have stayed and are still offering.
They've not stopped.
Vocal backing.
They
Brilliant
have
support.
not stopped. From the moment that goal went in, they've just been clapping, cheering, doing their thing.
But Inter know that they are so close, and they are ready to party tonight. Inter 1, Milan 0, 3-0 on aggregate, as the ball is hit downfield, flicked on by Salamakers, played out then to Çalhanoğlu, near side. Gosens back towards Çalhanoğlu. Tomori comes across. Krunic is also there. Krunic will go back. It's just a question of playing out time, as Simeone Inzaghi, whose brother Filippo, his older brother, who won the Champions League twice with Milan, a World Cup winner too, he'll be disappointed tonight. He wanted Milan to go through, but instead it's Simeone who has an opportunity now to get a Champions League success, although they will be the underdogs, whoever they face, in the final in Istanbul on the 10th of June. As the ball is hit back in towards the penalty area, Origi rises early, Giroud tries to swivel, Brozovic will clear for Inter, up towards Lukaku, challenged by Tomori. They both run out towards this near side. Lukaku holds onto the ball and plays it back. Every action, every challenge, every pass is being cheered by the Inter supporters.
That's just where he's so strong as well, Lukaku, at this stage in the game. Any ball like that that's played into space, he gets his body in there and there's just no moving him. Tomori's trying to apply pressure, but he just holds the ball up well. And they keep possession. Inter, and just got a nice little passage of possession at the moment, just trying to run the clock down.
They're even down doing the Olays. 3 minutes of added on time, which we're now into. Every pass is being celebrated here by Inter. They won the Super Cup by beating Milan in Saudi Arabia in January. They've got the Coppa Italia final coming up against Fiorentina. I think it's on the 24th of this month, and then they'll concentrate on the Champions League on the 10th of June. Not quite the treble, the only Italian side who've won the treble that it was in 2010. However, still 3 trophies for Simeone Inzaghi to aim for. After they won the Coppa Italia last year, he's already won 2 Super Cups too during his time. Who replaced Antonio Conte. Cross comes in from Bastoni, pushed away by Mike Maignan. But deserved winners over the 2 legs. Inter, who lead 3-0 on aggregate.
They just look a better team, don't they? I mean, the squad's so much stronger. The attacking options they have are vast.
Lukaku with a shot, beaten out by Maignan. Comes to Lukaku once again, chips it. Bastoni on the volley, just outside the D. Screws it off target, goal kick. And by my watch, we have 60 more seconds to soak up this atmosphere.
And if that hit the back of the net, it would have been some strike, wouldn't it, from Bastoni? Centre back up from the left side of the 3 position. It felt lovely to him on his left foot. Strikes it first time on the full volley, but just doesn't catch it quite well enough.
Have you seen what's actually happening at both ends? In the bottom tiers, there is a walkway in front of the stands, and the supporters are running down the aisles, and they're all gathering and congregating on that elevated tier just above, I don't know, what is it, 12 foot high? And that bottom tier, they are ready to party here in San Siro. And Luton Town are preparing to party too. Jonathan.
Into 4 minutes of stoppage time. Luton defending for their lives. Still 2-0 up against Sunderland, who are pushing now in stoppage time. But have they left it too late? Roberts over the bar from 20 yards a moment ago. Luton still ahead, 3-2 on aggregate.
So Luton in control there. Inter heading towards Istanbul. Lukaku heads out the corner kick. You will only know that the final whistle has sounded when you hear the roar, because by my watch we're about 10 seconds away and the Inter fans are preparing to party. You can hear the build-up, and there it is. Inter Milan have knocked out their Milan neighbours, and they're heading to Istanbul for the Champions League final on the 10th of June. Their 6th European final, and the last Italian side to triumph 13 years ago. They will hope to replicate what they did in 2010, but they'll be cast very much in the role of underdogs. But they've kept an 8th clean sheet, and for the first time in 115 years of football between these 2 Italian giants, Milan have gone 4 games in a row without scoring. A dismal night for Milan, but a night that Inter Upson will remember forever.
Oh, what a night. I'll remember it forever, just for being here, being in the presence of this game and this stadium and these supporters at this moment is a privilege, to be honest. And I think it's not almost been about the football. The game was average, wasn't it, in terms of the quality and whether it was smooth, and the technique of it all wasn't amazing. It was quite scrappy, but what you saw was a gritty team in Inter who just knew how to get the job done. AC Milan didn't have anywhere near enough on the night to be able to reel that 2-0 deficit back in, and that was quite apparent, even though they had a great early chance to maybe set something rolling. But after that, it's just been in total control for Inter, and it's their evening.
Kelly, it's finished here. Inter 1, Milan 0, and Inter go through to the final 3-0 on aggregate.
Deno, just quickly, as Matt was saying, the second half particularly wasn't that brilliant, but we'll get Ian Dennis and Matt Upson's thoughts on exactly what's going on inside the stadium now, because they are just fantastic scenes at the San Siro as Inter Milan celebrate reaching the Champions League final. Meanwhile, Luton are on their way to Wembley, and there are scenes of celebration at Kenilworth Road. Jonathan Overend.
Well inside the final minute of stoppage time. Luton 2, Sunderland 0. An extraordinary moment a minute ago when Anthony Patterson came up, the Sunderland goalkeeper, for a corner. There was a scramble in the box, but somehow Luton got it away, and on the counter-attack, all Cody Drame, the right wing-back, needed to do was put it into an open net, but he put it wide, and now Sunderland are pushing hard. Final play of the match. Possibly it's caught by the goalkeeper, Holbert, and will that be the final moment? Are Luton on their way to Wembley? Well, they're still playing. Simon Hooper, the referee, has not blown his whistle yet, but all around me on this creaky wooden main Kenilworth Road stand, spectators on their feet getting ready to acclaim another extraordinary moment in this football club's recent history. 9 years ago, in season 13-14, they were playing non-league football and they won the conference to return to the Football League, and since then it's been an extraordinary journey up through the divisions, losing at this stage, remember last year, beaten by Huddersfield in the playoff semi-final. But are they now about to win the playoff semi-final and take their place at Wembley? Luton lead 2-0. There's the goal kick, but Simon Hooper still doesn't blow his whistle. We're into the 6th minute of stoppage time now, well over the initial allotted 4 minutes. Will Sunderland get one chance? Luton have defended heroically. There's the final whistle. Luton are on their way to Wembley. They have come back from behind in the tie, and they have beaten Sunderland 3-2 on aggregate. And some spectators try to come onto the pitch here and more invade on. What an effort from these Luton players. Some who have been here for the whole journey. The likes of Peli Radakampanzu, who played non-league here. Now he's going to get his day at Wembley. And Luton, quite extraordinarily, are one match away from the Premier League. The next match, which might be played here at Kenilworth Road, might be in England's top division. It really is something as spectators invade the pitch and celebrate all around us. The final score, Luton 2, Sunderland 0. Luton win 3-2 on aggregate.
Jonathan Overend at Kenilworth Road this evening. The scenes sound fantastic. We can hear the Luton fans celebrating. But my goodness, that was a tense ending for them as Sunderland threw everything at it.
They certainly did, and that corner when the goalkeeper came up, well, it was one of those where it just needed to fall to a blue boot, but it didn't. Up the other end went Luton. They really should have scored, but they really have played so well tonight, Luton. Rob Edwards clearly had a plan to send them out at 100 mile an hour and to play high up the pitch, win the ball high up the pitch, and that they did consistently in the first half, and they scored their 2 goals in the first half. They really had chances galore, and Sunderland did not play as well as they did in the first leg, and their chance has now gone for another season, despite the late season heroics of Tony Mowbray and his men. They'll be back for sure to fight another championship day. Luton have their day at Wembley.
Overs, thank you very much for that. In the Scottish League One playoff semi-final first leg, Annan have beaten Clyde by 3-1, puts them in a fantastic position to try and reach that final later on this month. Let's head back to the San Siro now, where Matthew Upson, Andy and Dennis are soaking it all in, as are Inter Milan. A 2-0 victory in the first leg, a 1-0 victory on the night, 3-0 then on aggregate, and they are heading to the Champions League final in Istanbul on June the 10th. Deno, just tell us what's happening inside the San Siro.
Well, the ultras of Inter are in the Curva Nord, that 3-tiered stand that reaches way back, away towards our left-hand side. They haven't moved any of their supporters, and the Inter players have been celebrating in that penalty area in front of that gigantic 3-tiered stand. At the other end, the hardcore Milan ultras in the Curva Sud towards our right have stayed. A large proportion in that middle tier towards our right have stayed almost in defiance. They're still singing, but a lot of the Inter fans, this stand has been shaking and vibrating once again. The players have just remained out on the pitch. Some of them look a little bit shattered. They're trying to get family members out there as well. I noticed that Simeone Inzaghi, I think he's got his 2 children alongside him just towards his right. But Matt, they're going to party long and hard into the night. And rightly so. Rightly so. It's not every day you make a Champions League final by beating your rivals in a derby match in the San Siro Stadium. So a lot to celebrate, isn't there? And you know, they've fully deserved to be here, fully deserved to go through to the final. And you're right, they do look tired. I think it's, you know, you get to this stage of the season, tiredness and ability to stay fresh is key. You just feel how much can they offer, how much more have they got to offer this season in that final. Kelly, it's the first time that they've beaten Milan in a European tie. They missed out in 2003 at the semi-final stage. 2 years later, they were knocked out in the quarter-finals. But Inter thoroughly deserved to go through. Milan, I've got to say, very disappointing. Only 1 shot on target throughout the whole game. And Inter, without question, they'll be the underdogs in Istanbul for the final on the 10th of June. But this was definitely the right result over the 2 legs.
Dano and Matt, thank you very much for now. We'll be back with them in the San Siro very shortly.